It's been a while. It's been a little while. Hi everyone, welcome back. It's been a hot minute, but today I wanted to talk to you about some of the things that I've done to manage my fairly large plant collection and just tips in general that have made this hobby a lot easier for me. That being said, I want to start by saying you do not have to do any of the things that I'm going to share with you today. These are just things that have made this hobby easier and enjoyable for me. You don't have to break the bank and do any of these things. This is just my suggestions and things that have generally worked for me and made this so much more easy. Let's start by talking about self-watering. So what is semi-hydro? So semi-hydro is a growing method where the medium is a soilless inorganic medium such as leca and pond, and the plant has a water reservoir that uses to self-water itself. So some of the most common mediums that people use are leca and pond. I prefer pond. I feel like I've had better success with pond. And for self-watering, there are three different types of self-watering pots. We have the ones with the wicking cord. We have the ones with a inner pot and a cash pot. And then we also have a vase or vessel that has no drainage holes. So for no drainage holes, I have just two plants that have no drainage just because I don't really prefer that method. And I have a good mixture of a wicking cord as well as the inner cash pot with the vessel. I probably have a lot more with the inner pot and cash pot than the wicking cord because I recently bought some different self-watering pots that I kind of like way more. I will say self-watering pots can get pretty expensive, especially if you have a ton of plants or you're transferring a lot of plants from soil or any other media to semi-hydro. It can get pretty expensive if you have a ton of plants. So I have found different ways to make this a little more affordable if I don't feel like buying a self-watering pot. I sometimes use a disposable cup. I use like different sizes so they can fit in each other and still have like that space for a self-watering pot. And I've also used a nursery pot and I just try to cover the holes as best as I can. I put like a little mesh so the whole media doesn't go through it. I put my wicking cord, and if it fits in a pretty decorative pot, that is my self-watering pot. I think that the easiest and most affordable way is like those disposable cups that you can fit one in the other but still have that little bit of space. If they're different sizes, you'll still have space for a water reservoir. I have a couple of them like that. Sometimes, the pots get expensive, y'all. They get expensive, so. The only downside that I see with the self-watering pots is that they are pretty boring. I have yet to see any that have any designs, any cool designs on them. They're for the most part pretty boring, but I'm in it for the foliage, and if the foliage is doing what it gotta do, I really don't care. I feel like it is the center of attention. If the cash pot is just plain white, the foliage is gonna give everything it's gotta give. So for me personally, semi-hydro just makes this a whole lot easier for me because every Sunday I prepare my nutrient solution, which is right here because it is Sunday. You're gonna watch this on a different day, but it is Sunday. So I'm gonna water my plants after this. And I don't have to worry again until the following Sunday night because for the most part, they can last without any watering throughout the week, which is my most busy week. I don't know if y'all know, but I am a mom of two kiddos and I work a 9 to 5. So I stay pretty busy and I can't just water my plants every other day. Granted, not all plants are going to make it to Sunday all the time, but I can certainly say that the majority, the big majority, I want to say about 95% of my plants can wait till Sunday or the very next Sunday. So I'm not having to so I don't have to water every single plant on Sunday. There's always that very unusual case where one plant doesn't make it, and it's usually because it's not in a self-watering pot, so I have to water. Those tend to be my philodendrons, or I have two Hoyas that are in a chunky mix just because I wanted to experiment. For the most part, everything is in a self-watering pot. I think the only plants that I don't have in self-watering pots are philodendrons, because the honest truth is that they're just not my favorite plants. There's a couple of them that I really like. I'm okay with leaving them in a chunky mix. I care a lot more about my anthuriums and my Hoyas. And I've never tried to grow a philodendron in a self-watering pot, but I do believe that some people have had success, as well as begonias and alocasias. I don't like alocasias, so you will not see an alocasia in my channel, but again, I know other people that have been able to grow alocasia successfully in a self-watering pot. As always, do your own research, try things out. I think that a lot of the stuff that I learned is obviously from other collectors, other content creators in the plant community, and I've taken what I can, and doesn't work for me, I just don't do it. But one of the things that I find the most fun about collecting plants is testing things out. Like, to me, it's just so much fun to test something out and see if it works. So have fun with it, see what works. Another thing that has been fixed with having my plants in semi-hydro is that I was a chronic overwaterer. I don't have an in-between. I either get too busy where I can't water my plants when they need it to be, or I am watering them way too much, and I was losing plants due to root rot. So at the beginning, I was not doing semi-hydro. At the very beginning, I was just having plants in chunky mixes or soil, and I was killing some of the plants. I think I have one plant out of my very first haul alive to this day. I wasn't having a lot of success, and the truth is my life got more hectic ever since I first started collecting plants. So I had to find a way where I can still enjoy this hobby but not have to be dedicating it all of my time. When I have a water reservoir, I know that my plants are going to be straight. They're not having too much or too little water. Self-watering alone, it's not the key. Again, this is an inorganic mixture, so you have to add nutrients for the most part. Pond comes with like 6 months worth of slow release nutrients, but I've never relied on that, so I have to add the nutrients myself. So for fertilizers, there are 3 products that I don't skip on every time that I water my plants. Even when I'm not feeling like doing the whole shebang, I force myself to do it because I know that it's what allows me to continue to enjoy this hobby without having to dedicate it so much time. So for starters, I have my all-purpose fertilizer. This is Jack's Classic 2020. This was the fertilizer that I was introduced to by a local nursery in Rhode Island, and I have been using it since. The next nutrient that I use is silica. This is TPS silica. Works great. There's a ton of different brands of silica out there. Pick the one that best suits you. And I also have Comac. This one is also from TPS. Again, there are so many in the market. Whatever fits into your budget, I'm sure it's going to work. I'm going to say this over and over. Do your own research. So the nutrients and fertilizer are what are going to make your plant thrive. Like, they can survive off of just water, but if you really want them to do well, you have to add a little something in there. For me, I think that the nutrient that makes the biggest difference is silica. Silica has so many benefits. Some of the benefits in silica are increased resistance to fungal disease and pest attack, reduced brown spots, stem rot, and aphid attack. It can increase uptake of nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and zinc, which are some of our plants' essential nutrients. It can also increase photosynthesis and much more. Silica is considered by some like nature's bodyguard, but in our house. Obviously, this would not be necessary, and we don't have that in the wild because we have natural predators in the wild. But inside our home, we don't have natural predators unless you do predatory mites or something like that. It is in our hands to add that little extra protection to our plants. And for me, what that looks like is just adding silica in every single watering. So the way that silica works is it makes plants stronger by increasing the cell wall. Basically, it makes it tougher for like pests to be able to to bite or suck into the stems or foliage. The way I like to think of it, it's like a protective barrier for my plants. It has been a very long time since I've had to treat an active infestation. Every Sunday when I'm watering my plants, obviously I still check for them because you can never be too sure. So that is the moment where I look at every single plant that I'm watering very closely. I check for anything that looks wrong or anything that might be moving. And so far, I have not had to deal with anything. I believe that the only thing I've seen is springtails, and from the research I've done, they're beneficial. None of my plants are declining. Everything is growing fine. Apparently, they're just after decaying matter or something like that. But according to the internet, it's harmless. Otherwise, there is nothing attacking foliage. I have not had to treat an active infestation in a very long time. I genuinely believe that that is due to silica. So the way that I use silica is that I get my water, I add silica based on the label, which is 5 millimeters per gallon, and I've measured that I have about 2 gallons of water in this pot. I use an old medicine measuring cup and I add 10 millimeters. I give it a really good mix, and this is where it gets a little controversial. So some people say that you have to put in your silica, wait 15 minutes, some say even more, before you add the rest of your nutrients. I believe the standard, in at least what I've been doing, is silicon, Calmac, and then my fertilizer last. So some people say you have to wait 15 minutes to maybe more before you add the Calmac. Some say that you just have to give it a good mix before you add the next nutrient, that you don't have to give it so many minutes. As for me and mine, I add my silica, I make sure that it gets a very thorough mix, and I go right into it with Calmac. My silica has never returned to its gel form, which I believe is the concern for waiting 15 to 30 minutes. Again, this is a hobby and I don't want to make this stressful. Sometimes I don't have a lot of time, like not for nothing, it's late on a Sunday, mom gotta go to work tomorrow. I don't want to wait 15, 30 minutes for my silica to mingle with water. I've never had an issue. I still enjoy of the benefits of my silica, and I don't wait. Do your own research and do what's best for you. The next thing that makes this hobby very hands-free for me is timers and smart strips. I have both. I have timers and I have a smart strip that plugs in my cabinet behind me, and I get to control from my phone. So there's a ton of products in the market for you to manage when your lights go on and when your lights go off without you having to manually turn them on. Sometimes you're gonna go away for vacation, or you're not going to be home at the time that your plants should be on or should be off. Thank God for timers. I've had my timers set up for 14 hours every single day. I don't ever mess with them. They just do the work for me. They turn on at 7 a.m. They shut off by 9 p.m. It's perfect. I don't know what to say. It's perfect. If you are growing indoors, you probably know about timers, and if you don't, please let me put you on. You need some timers. So it is pretty convenient to have timers and have your lights go on and off when they need to be. And the last thing I wanted to bring up is purging. Yes, purging. Sometimes we go down a rabbit hole getting plants too many, too fast, and with this hobby, we can easily go down a rabbit hole of buying too many plants too fast, and suddenly we realize we're not completely in love with that one plant, or it's just completely unmanageable. Even when you do all of these things that make it a lot easier for you, sometimes it can be very difficult to manage, and I have entered a point where I'm very okay with purging plants that just no longer bring me joy, that I feel like just look like clutter, and overall I just want to get rid of them. I have a ton of plants listed locally that I just want to get rid of it, and during the time that I got them, they brought me a lot of joy, but I think that they'll be better suited in somebody's home, somebody that's going to enjoy them more. I have not felt an urge to add anything else to my collection in the time being. Of course, there's a lot of plants that I would love to see in my collection. I feel like there's always a plant that you would want to have. There's always something new in the market, something shiny and pretty and splashy. I don't feel that that urge lately to like really add something to my collection. I feel like every time I open my cabinet, I feel very satisfied. I feel very happy. I really like the collection that I've curated so far. The only thing that I want to do is just purge some of my older philodendrons. I think I'm going to keep 3 or 4 of my philodendrons. Generally just enjoy my anthuriums and my Hoyas, and everything else has felt like clutter, and I am forcing myself to take care of them, so they are waiting for their time to go and for a new owner to really appreciate them. And that is okay. Are not supposed to stay the same forever. We are constantly changing, and that is okay. A plant that might have brought us joy before, it might not be bringing joy to us now, and that is okay. It's okay to get rid of them. And especially if it starts feeling like a huge chore that you don't want to take care of it, or it just feels like it's in the way, it's okay to purge it. And that is 100% the stage that I'm in with my plant journey. There's just some things that I look at them and I'm like, I don't know, like I think you're taking up space. I don't feel like motivated to water it and see it thrive. So I think someone else can really appreciate it. I think that is all I got for y'all today. I think the biggest takeaway from this is that you do not have to break the bank to enjoy this hobby. This should be something that is enjoyable, that takes you away from anything else that may be going on with your life. For me personally, this is my me time. This is where I am the most in the moment, just carefully looking at my plants and enjoying them, soaking in that beautiful foliage. So this should be stress-free. It should not be a financial burden. So again, take what works for you, do your own research, experiment, have fun. All right, it is Sunday night, so I have to go water these plants now. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I plan to be here a little more often. Fingers crossed I can stick to my word and be here a little more often. That being said, I will see you all on the next one.